Hello there guys and welcome back to that channel. Right, so today we're going to be taking a look at Vulture's pre and post buff damage. So what I did is I recorded a fight against Winter Soldier using Vulture before the new update went live with Synergy team and without Synergy team, which is going to give us some baseline readings, how he performs in average circumstances. And then I did the same after he got his kit updated. Now, obviously, keep in mind that Winter Soldier is not exactly the type of matchup Vulture is made for, because any sort of additional power gain significantly increases Vulture's damage output. And on top of that, Realm of Legends AI is relatively passive, and that is important on Vulture synergy with Tigra, where basically you need to perform intercepts to prolong the duration of your debuffs. So, obviously, I'm not gonna show the entire full fight initially with Vulture because it would take forever, and it is very long. And needless to say, Vulture's damage before update was absolute garbage. So here you can see that he's at like 400 hits plus, and Winter Soldier is still at like 26% of the health. And without any synergies, previously the way you played Vulture for most part is just spam your level 2s and try to hit opponent as much as you can whilst the level 2 buff is active. There was no real point or purpose to using the level 1s to get your charges up, because, well, it didn't really result too much, and you couldn't use those charges for many useful abilities. You could do the Raptor strikes, but they didn't really quite significantly improve your damage. They could improve your power control, which is a useful ability of Vulture, but I'm not entirely sure how I feel about him as a solid power control champion just yet, even after the buff. Definitely need to play about with him some more. I did a bit of testing last night, but I didn't have the best time with Vulture. I was a bit knackered as well. So anyway, so the first fight without any synergies, just using rank 3 5-star Vulture, no suicides, no boosts, no nothing. You can see it's lasting quite substantial amount of time, over 500 hits, and 500, what is it, 28? 529 hits without synergies. That's one of the worst results I have ever seen. Shout out to Rich Demand, by the way. I was listening to his podcast, I believe, in the background as I was recording these fights. Right. So now we synergized him up with like Darkhawk, with Stealth Suit Spidey, Stark Enhanced Spidey, and Tigra. And he gets a bit trickier to play with these synergies because, again, the goal now with the synergy team is to have both of your level 1 and level 2 debuff active at the same time. And you can accomplish that by pausing them by performing intercepts. And that is where these fights do get quite significantly harder, because Realm of Legends AI is not extremely aggressive, and landing intercepts on demand is much more difficult in here than it is in any generic content in Act 5, Act 6, Act 7, AQ, Alliance, or so on and so forth. So Vulture isn't really performing to his best. And the second key thing is that, again, he does more damage in matchups where opponents have slight increase in power drain. You do not want them to be gaining a ton of power, because his power control abilities aren't as potent as, let's say, Magic's or Dormammu's or Visions, but you do want opponents to be gaining more power than in a regular fight, or gaining power in some sort of controlled fashion. So again, we're not going to show the entire fight here, but it is better. Previously we had 529 hits, so this time around I do mess up somewhere towards the end quite a bit as well, but still trying to get those intercepts and all that. But we are doing quite a lot better. So towards the end here, I get smacked down 23%. Again, that's because I scrub it up sometimes. Why not? But let's finish it here. So I do want to drop my level 2 at this point. The Incinerate obviously is more potent than it was before as well, due to Synergies, which is quite helpful, and due to Awakened ability. Whilst opponents incinerated, you do have a slight power gain yourself. It's not overly noticeable even after the buff though. But yeah, I could have done this fight probably some better, but it is 404 hits. So we did reduce the amount of hits by 130. Still though, that damage is absolutely wowful. Now this is Vulture by himself, once again with no suicides, with no boosts, with no synergies, in fight after the buff now. and a lot more of his abilities obviously have gotten more potent. He has gained a few more additional pieces of utility, like he can gain poison immunity and immunity to shock, in addition to his incinerate immunity being a proper immunity this time around. And he gains these armor breaks, which I suspect is one of the biggest sources of the extra damage that he has. On top of that, the duration on his level 1 and level 2 debuffs have been increased, and now they are actually looking like debuffs. But the goal is still the same, more or less, just to spam as many heavy attacks as I can without running any synergies, and then drop my level 2s, making sure that most of the fight I spend with as many armor breaks as possible and that level 2 debuff active. And we can see that this time around, I have much higher uptime on that level 2 debuff, obviously thanks to the increased duration there. And the fight is going quite significantly quicker. I did not think that there will be as big of a difference to his damage output as it actually turns out to be. Once again, we are gonna be speeding up a bit more along the way. And yeah, so at this point, for instance, I had 5 armor breaks, both of the debuffs active, and I'm clearly doing significantly more damage than I did before. The numbers aren't like crazy impressive, but keep in mind that that is a rank 3 5-star, and so long his damage is viable, that's all you really need for his utility to be in consideration at the very least. If his damage is not good enough, then nobody cares about the champion's utility. It's all about meeting that baseline requirement of damage in order to let the utility aspects of the character shine. And the increase is actually quite drastic. So remember, previously it was 529 hits in the fight. On top of all the additional utility, we can see that he has close to, not quite, but close to doubled his damage output. I'd say the damage is increased by about 80%, because you're going to be, or 75% maybe, because you're going to be finishing this fight at 293. So previously it was 530. This time it's 293. And again, I probably could have played it better. So we went for 530 hits to 290. 140 hit in drop in the hit count in this fight, and significant time decrease as well. Now this time I put back in exactly the same synergy team, where I'm running Stealth Suit, Spidey Stark Suit, Spidey Darkhawk, and Tigra. And this fight obviously will show even higher damage increase, even though I'm not utilizing the perfect playstyle of the champion, where you can do your Raptor strikes much more frequently, and largely because of the Winter Soldier and the AI over here. But I definitely need a bit more practice with Vulture, so that is a given as well. We can see that Vulture does even better. Vulture does even better than he used to do. I have enough of the Chitauri charges now to keep more and more armor breaks active. On top of that, I'm trying to do my best to keep both of the level 1 and level 2 debuffs on Winter Soldier for as long as I can. And we can see that these heavy attacks low-key do quite a lot of damage, because each heavy attack deals about 2.53 or just under 3k extra damage, thanks to that debuff from level 2. And yeah, now we had like a relatively solid 11k crit on a rank 3 5-star. Obviously, should this be a rank 5 5-star, you'd be doing even better. And we have the 5 armor breaks that help the damage even more. It's nothing breathtaking, don't get me wrong. There are obviously a lot more champions that have significantly more damage than Vulture does, even after the buff, and even without requiring synergy teams to achieve it. But at the very least, I kind of do feel that it is a playable amount of damage, where a champion can be judged by what he brings to the table besides damage. And yeah, so this fight goes on. I definitely have to say once again that I do have a lot more testing to do with Vulture. I might end up taking him to rank 4 with one of the variant gems, just because I'm quite curious about the champion. I don't have him as 6-star anyhow. And yeah, if I have these gems, then why not use them, I suppose. I think he's 2017 champion, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody might want to correct me on that in comment section. But yeah, anyhow, I'm gonna fast forward here towards the end of the fight. And with Synergies, so previously he did 400 and something hits. Then this time around, he ends up taking the Winter Soldier down in 1 second. Here, a heavy attack. Nope, not yet. Not yet. One more level 1. Incinerate actually took him down. So the last hit was unnecessary. So it is 228 hits. And that is a very reasonable. It's, again, not amazing. There are definitely stronger hitting champions. But keep in mind that it wasn't a perfect matchup or place to test Vulture. So overall, so far, I'm not jumping to any conclusions about the buff itself, and I do get a lot of questions. But I must say that the buff is better than I thought it would be. I'm just not entirely sure whether Vulture is a champion that I would invest TF5 class Catalyst in presence of your Warlock Sentinels, Halbusters, Ghosts, and Guardians, and so on and so forth. And that is something, obviously, that still needs to be tested a bit more. But overall, I definitely must say that his buff has benefited more than I thought it would. Anyhow, that is about it. Let me know what you guys think about Vulture, and how are you guys finding his utility? How are you finding his damage? Because I will be doing some more testing off screen and perhaps upload a guide/review in a week or two once I have actually gotten myself more familiar with the champion. Anyways, that is about it for now, and I will catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information